All right, welcome back to the Align podcast series. We have Chris Tarta back, who's on with us back in March and has been a member of our organization and is really moving mountains in Bergen County. So, Chris, I wanted to kind of wrap about, we were just talking about it. You had 8 pending transactions in July.
Yeah.
You're also the #1 builder for badass agents in Bergen County. And just want to, use this 30 minutes or so to kind of talk about what your experience has been since you've been with us for 5 months at this point, and how the heck are you getting so much done? How are you still moving forward? I think you're on vacation with your family.
I was away a couple
last week, but yeah. So tell us, man, how's it been?
It's been incredible, man. I joined in March and came aboard, and I learned the systems quickly. I kind of had an idea of what was going to be here, but I didn't know how it was going to work, what the systems were, what the processes were. But working with the team, working with the office, I was brought up to speed quickly.
Yeah.
And once I kind of learned the system, I was able to learn how to leverage it right away. And that was exactly what I was hoping for when we met, when we discussed merging. And it kind of gives you the rocket fuel to be able to do what I do, is go out and close.
Right.
So that's the power of why I've been able to kind of get the production to where it is.
Yep.
And kind of promote growth, because now you could see what I'm doing. It's not me talking about it, saying anything. There's evidence, and now we have a track record of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And it's been like, I fit right in, and it's just been super exciting to be here, which is half the battle for me. It keeps me in mindset right, and I'm out there.
Yeah. We say, and you talk about it when you're sitting next to like James and stuff at the office and bouncing ideas off of each other, like just the proximity aspect of things just kind of levels things up. And now that you're just talking about it too, David DeVoe, back in the scenes, like loves coaching and giving value to the top producing agents, and really making sure like, okay, great. If I did 25 million this year, how do I do 50 million while working less? And a lot of people, I talk about it often, but a lot of people don't know, like I did the same thing. I just asked Dave, what should I be doing? And he was there through a lot of my journey, and still is. We'll still bounce ideas off of it. So, with our ideas off of each other. So with that, when you guys are getting into those coaching calls, for somebody who's watching this that is a $25 million producer already, how are you, like, I don't even know. What do you guys talk about?
So
it's every Friday, right?
We try to keep it every Friday, right? And that's what it was last week. And if you don't know, I've known Dave since high school.
Yeah.
So it's a really easy call.
Right.
And I respect what he's done and what he knows. He's on a different level with a lot of different stuff. And like, so are you. And so everybody else out there knows, when you say 25 million to 50 million, this is not bullshit. This is legit numbers that we can actually achieve here for an agent. We go through process. We go through a lot of mindset stuff. That's really that's what I gain a lot from him on that. And that's what pushes me, but moving, goal setting and setting the proper goals, and then achieving those goals, and then learning how to scale that realistically, and not oversetting goals. This is a big thing as well, because you can't miss your goals constantly and think that's okay. And I used to do that, but the calls go great. We dial into books we should read, things I should do, time management, chunking down what you need to get done on a daily basis, but in a real sense, like, not like, all right, 2 hours I'm going to sit in front of my follow-up boss and hammer out this and that. I'm not going to do that. So I'm down to 30 minutes doing this, 30 minutes doing that. And that's how my brain works. So it's pushing my production with like a customized plan.
It's funny, until I started coaching with Matthew Ferry in 2015, when I was on DeVoe's team, he used to, like, because Dave was really good at like schedule to perfection.
Yes.
And not like what you're talking about. And when I left his team and I was like, what, I kind of want to start my own team, I went out and Dave told me, seek out Matthew Ferry. You're going to need mindset stuff. You're going to need to get into all of that. And I started coaching with Matthew. And Matthew started pushing you don't need to actually do this day in and day out from 7:30 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. and then go. You don't need this rigid. What you do need is to hit your contacts and have a clean database. And you need to do it in a way that empowers you so that you're actually going to do it. I think a lot of agents, what happens is they start like this. Well, so many agents don't even know how to put a schedule together, which is insane to me, which is something that we talk about. But then a lot of agents that do have a schedule, they have Mike Ferry's schedule, or they have Aaron Novello is a great prospect,
Yes.
or Patrick Southern, or you know, Lee Marcus. There's so many like OGs that have Jeff Quinton. We just had him at an event that have these crazy rigid schedules, and those schedules will help you sell 300 homes on the listing side without a doubt. They freaking work. But a lot of agents, including myself, because of like my ADD and my entrepreneurial aspect of things, and lacking self-discipline and lacking the mindset to do that, I can do it for 90 days or so. And then I start to like cheat myself and I start to fall off. And I only know, I want to say Lee Marcus and Jeff Quinton are the only two that I personally know that are still doing that exact same thing day in and day out. It's there. The amount of folks that can do that,
It's minimal.
are so minimal, but the amount of folks that can do what you're talking about doing is abundant. There's so many out there, and I feel like people don't really coach and train on that way. And we really see it. A lot of $20 million realtors, when I go in and audit their time, it's a fucking mess. It's like it is. They're winging it, you know. So it's really good to see that with those 30-minute blocks and what you're doing with David DeVoe, that there's actually a plan. And you guys are meeting and moving through that, because that's what Matthew was talking about. You need to do more day in and day out. What more is, you need to make your own decision and be aware on like what that's going to be. But it's a very simple business. It's just people forget to do the more. 5 days a week or even 3 days a week because they get so busy with the other stuff that they've been doing.
It's true. And Dave actually brought that up. I was on Dave's team for a couple years, and it was, 8:30 to 11, you do your prospecting, and then you get on your Zoom call, and then you have lunch, and then, okay, you have appointments or whatever it is. And then you do follow-ups. There was a schedule that we followed that actually propelled me in the beginning, but it was not everlasting for me. It got me to a certain point, and then I was like floundering on my schedule and stuff. And when Dave and I were talking on our last call, it was, he actually brought it up. He goes, I used to be this way about the scheduling and the time management. He goes, that's obsolete to me now. This is how we need to do it. And I explained to him some of the tasks I need to get done. And he's like, all right, so try this for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. He goes, you'll be amazed at what you get done. And the proximity thing too, like being in the office with James and Bob and Shane, whoever else is there, it's full of energy for me. It pushes me, and I believe it pushes them. Right. And they laugh at me because we're there, and I'll do something for 15 minutes. I run out the door. I come back. You got a signed listing. I throw it down. I scan it in. I'm making calls. It's just, but that's my style. That's what works for me. And being able to come up with a plan that harnesses that is my rocket fuel. So that's really, that's how I'm pushing right now.
And I feel like that too is, again, when we're talking to those agents that are doing 20 million a year, 30 million a year, they don't necessarily have the plan, and they don't have the playbook, and they're also not sitting around other racehorses that are doing the exact same thing and that's kind of
definitely not.
That was the purpose of Align. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of real estate sales teams out there that just take a bunch of these new agents that have, the leadership has no avatar. They'll take anybody. They'll keep them there, even if they're not selling homes, and do a disservice to the agent and whatnot. And we're really good at new agent development. Great. We have a great track record with it, but we really started to flip the switch, was getting into that. How do we take the $20 million producer? How do we take the $80 million producer? How do we have our system so good and so tight on the back end, along with the coaching, along with the community, so that these racehorses can really race, And that's one of the things that I've always said, when it comes to agents or team leaders building teams, is you can be really good at selling, you can be really good at recruiting, or you can be a really good sales trainer, but you can't be all three. And like,
it's exactly why I'm here.
So you're a damn good salesperson, you're a damn good recruiter. And I'm not saying you're a bad sales trainer, but when you start doing you could do 2 out of 3 of them really well, but when you start to add in all 3 of them, it kills your bandwidth. You start to completely blow out. And really for us, like we've taken the sales trainer component or the leadership aspect of things, and we try to take like, okay, let's get Chris Tarta up on stage about how we put 8 under contract in July, but I don't want his message that he's going to give for 60 minutes to then create, stimulus coming back that's going to stop him from doing that. And that's really, again, the idea with Align and what we're doing with Jeff Bonk and everything, and Jamie Meringue, where it's like, how do we get these badasses sharing, what's really working, so that even if you're only selling 6 homes per year, you can take nuggets from that and apply that into your business. do you feel like, actually, let me ask you this. From the 8 homes that went under contract in July, what was kind of the breakdown with it? Listings versus buyers?
I think either 5 or 6 were my listings, and 3 or 4 were buyers.
Okay.
I'm way listing heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm way listing heavy. I did 3 listings in August so far, and I'm waiting for I'll get a buyer accepted today.
Yeah.
So like, I'm 3-to-1 listing to buyer right now.
And that's good, because that's before I stop myself. My question was, how did you do with bandwidth in July? Because I'd imagine it's work. All right, there's a lot of hours that go into
I
that.
work my ass off, and that's fine. But like, it's so simple here,
Right.
Like, I don't have to be anywhere specific unless it's an appointment. Like, I was in Florida for 6 days. My family was there for 3 weeks. I visited them for 6 days while they were on vacation.
I worked from Florida.
Well, I did. I worked from Florida. I took some time off, but you work when the business is there in this business, and that's fine for me. But yeah, like, you have the system so dialed in and the process so dialed in that you open up the Slack, you message the team, and they could do this, they could do that. You really have no excuse of anything to not be able to get things done
Right
here. Like, it's all there. If you want to be out closing, that's all you need to do.
Yep.
The biggest thing I need to do is scan some papers over, because I'm big at getting things hand signed. Like, for me, that works, and that's really like, I can go from appointment to appointment to appointment all day long and get everything done that needs to be compliantly under the new rules. Like, that's all kind of there for us.
Yeah. When Omar's email went out this last Friday, and we're shooting this, I believe it's August 11th today, August 12th. It's my anniversary. I should know that.
Mine was yesterday.
Happy anniversary too. But we're shooting this August 12th. I put a post up on Saturday from Omar's message that went out to the organization on Friday, and it's interesting. Like, since August 1st, we've already put 27 million under contract.
I copied those posts.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's and
people are shocked.
And it's funny too that, like, even somebody commented on my Facebook, I want to say, and they were like, "What, you got buyer agency agreement signed?" And I'm like, you don't understand the turmoil. Like, it's not the conversations that had to happen with clients to make all of that happen. The active listings we carried, I think it was 42 rentals and 27 sale listings over that all needed addendum signed, that all needed sellers to have conversation. Like, the amount of stuff that had to go into that change. And what we're finding out too, like, even with sellers concessions, you can have a seller's concession toward closing costs, and you can have, seller's concessions towards buyer agent fees. But like, it needs to be worded that way. Like, there were so many things that it was not that simple.
No. And that's the beauty of this.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware, and I was messaging with Vic and people in the office, and they're working overtime. They're there.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
I understand what has to get done, and I understand the rules and the compliance, but the work of it is done.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing. It, like, for me,
yeah,
like, unbelievable. If I had to oversee that, I'd still be working on it, to be honest with you, like, and I'm still fighting with some of my sellers to get addendum signed and get things signed. Like, they're just sitting in their inboxes and things like that. But it is what it is. And in my view, the heavy lifting was done.
It's funny too, on that note, like, since then I've shown buddies homes. It's tougher for me to, and people were worried about the agreements and stuff with Zillow leads and all that stuff. It's easier to get them signed in the driveway on a bottom of funnel lead that just came through versus like my sister who wants to go see a house. I'm like, no, you actually need to sign this agreement. Like, I can't get you into the home until you sign that. I just shared it again with you, or we're going to sign it in the driveway.
Yeah.
But yeah, to that point, I mean, shout out to Omar and Jeff Bonk, because they really went into all the trainings and geeked out on everything. And
they brought all the information, man. They really
they're just dumping it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have another Zoom this Thursday too with them. It's like the 2 weeks into the New Jersey change. And anybody watching too, a lot of people are August 17th is the big switch. I don't know why New Jersey decided to move it up, but we switched August 1st. So that was our actual switch, which is why we're able to experience, that change prior to the rest of the country having to go through it. But Omar and Jeff did an incredible job with, like, really figuring out all the information, disseminating it. People ask me why, we're up to 6 offices now. Why don't we just have our own brokerage? This is a perfect example why. I don't want to have to be in there figuring out how to do this. And I can't believe the amount of mom and pops that don't have a clear message by us right now in New Jersey, the amount of team leaders that still don't know what the heck's going on. I got a call from an attorney last Friday too, asking like, what are we supposed to be doing? You're the first team I've seen using the new contract, the new Najar contract, which again is crazy.
It's crazy.
And this is something with like EXP with Leo, Jeffrey Kiss at the state levels done a fantastic job explaining everything as we find out more information. It's a moving target, but this is the Department of Justice that we're dealing with too. It's not just a real estate commission. So the idea of like attorneys might have secret shoppers out there. They're going to be looking, buyers might go back and countersue real estate agents. I don't know.
Oh, there'll be a mess coming for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mess for a while. And, you know, these things happen. And now I'm having conversations with agents and I feel super confident. I feel like we're leading the way.
Yeah.
I feel like I can, no, this is how it has to go now.
Yeah.
You know, and they're calling me on my listings. Are they paying? Are they this? What do we do about that? And I'm like, this is what you do. This is how you got to go. When you write the offer for me, put this, say this, you know, and I'm prepared.
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't do much studying, you know, because all the information was brought to me.
Yeah.
You know, there's agents out there losing their minds over this.
Yep.
And I'm not worried a bit.
Maybe
I'm wrong, you know, but.
Well, that's why I had to post that just 10 days into the month, because to me, this was going to be a freaking mess. Like an absolute freaking mess. And when we created the NAR channel in Slack for all the agents to go, you know, love on one another, it was really important that they shared success stories as well. Because I wanted to hear about the wins. I wanted to hear about how the reality is it's not much different. It's just kind of moving things around and getting a little more documentation. It's more work for the real estate agents. It's more conversation for the buyers and sellers, which is totally fine. I'm all for transparency. So, you know, I think it's great in that capacity. I just feel like it wasn't something I necessarily agreed with. And Leo says this with EXP. He doesn't feel this is the best way for things to be going down, but it is what we're dealing with.
Right.
And what I'm seeing right now too, the amount of people that are saying, "Oh, I heard EXP is not paying."
Oh my God, the recruiting calls.
It's insane. I'm like, you actually have no understanding of the NAR settlement.
I talked to a team leader at a brokerage by me, and I said, it was our previous brokerage.
Yeah.
I said, you remember when we left and people laughed because we had 6,000 agents? I said, we led the way from there. I'm like, just hang tight before you recruit on this, because I think we got it dialed in best as better than other people.
Yep.
And she was shocked that I said that. And I was like, look, whatever, we'll see. You know, we're going to find out one way or the other. But that's what the law says.
Yeah.
We're not paying brokers. We're not paying buyers through the brokerage anymore.
Yeah.
And
Leo said it best on one of the Zooms. He said the crux of the lawsuit, of the litigation, of the settlement, he's like, if you go on the NAR website in the FAQ, it's either section 17 or 19. I don't know off the top of my head. He's like, go read it.
Yeah.
Commission sharing is exactly what you cannot do anymore.
Over.
Period.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
So the fact that we're still having conversations about that is insane. Yeah. And again, you're dealing with the Department of Justice, not the Real Estate Commission. Right. So I think it's so crazy that you know, we're week 2 of this in New Jersey. August 17th still is not hit at the time of filming, and folks they're completely oblivious to the reality of what's happening. And you're absolutely right. EXP made all of their documents public, not branded, so you can use them at any brokerage. They have their seller toolkit, which is on their websites. I think that the fact that people are trying to use that as a recruiting tool is going to hurt them it's going to backfire so bad down the road, because to your point, the deeper we get it, maybe I guess first I was like, all right, it's a little like unknown right now. Right. But now that the dust is starting to settle, I'm like, oh, you look like an idiot right now. You really look like an idiot.
Those calls came in August 2nd. Yeah. I guess they must have read our documents or something. And, you know, one of the messages was, you know, I got a question how you feel about your brokerage shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
I was like, are you out of your mind? Number one, you think that's a good recruiting call, right? And number two,
crazy.
It's like, you don't know any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're all in this together, but that is what the law says.
It's
a very clear document that we have.
And it's so funny to me too, because that was the Keller Williams team leader of Fort Lee. I'll shout him out.
Yeah.
That guy completely was one of the dumbest messages I've ever seen.
So I got the same message from the team leader in Ridgewood.
Yeah.
Same script, I bet.
Yeah. and it's so funny because they're sending that, and meanwhile, they're playing in this like messy middle bottom feeding kind of recruiting pond. I'm in cahoots with the top real estate teams at Keller Williams in New Jersey, who are running the playbook exactly as we are.
Right.
So the amount of misinformation, the fact that they sprayed that out to 30,000 people or 8,000 realtors,
Whatever,
however many are EXP in New Jersey. But the fact that they did that and used that as a recruiting tactic while the top folks in their organization statewide are doing it the way that they're supposed to be doing it as well is just, it is such a lack of leadership. And coincidentally, both of those messages from those team leaders fell under the same franchise leadership in New Jersey. And I actually didn't receive it from any other Keller Williams franchise ownerships outside of that one umbrella that kind of falls down that way. So, and nor do the teams that I, have been talking to land in that jurisdiction, let's say, or that management. But
so that's the leadership.
Yeah. It's just a crazy thing for somebody to come in and take that. But
they grabbed on, they made a bad instinct out of the first time they read it, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to go get everybody," and it's going to work the other way.
Yeah. And what I really love with what we're doing with Align and some of the partnerships that we have coming up, we're merging in. It's funny. People are like, okay, well, and you've been with us since March. You're actually one of the founding members of like this team merging idea too, which is really cool. And where my vision was around it. But now in the so I think since August 1st, and we'll be announcing all of these as they're coming out, but we have like 200 million in merging in, like teams merging in. And then you have the conversations that are coming about it. So while everybody's sitting over here worried about, let me go text all these agents about like, oh, your listing rules and blah, blah, blah. We're over here focusing on agent development and systems and like playing all the hell out. And it makes me laugh because we're not recruiting. Like we're not recruiting.
You're attracting.
We're making noise by being the best of the best of the best of the best. And that's what EXP is doing at a leadership standpoint too. And I just think, I don't know, it's so much fun. Like the amount of stuff that we can't announce it on this podcast, but the amount of damage we're doing in Bergen County right now, and Passaic County, and the market share that we're taking, and with you crushing it, and Bob crushing it, and James crushing it, and all the other realtors that have come in, just absolutely dominating with the other real estate teams folding in.
It's gonna be massive.
Yeah,
massive. And I think people are gonna be shocked when it actually starts. The statistics start showing up and the books start running on what's going on here. I mean, we just put our whiteboard in our office and we put the listings and the buyers on it last week, and I'm like, fuck, we need a bigger whiteboard already. It's like that's what's going on, and the energy is real. Yeah. And I think as it progresses and as it becomes known and it's out there, people are gonna be like, how is this even happening? Yeah. It's that large. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I always joked with like, I mean, we spent 2 or 3 years, Jen Schiff and I, behind the scenes, like kind of really, really putting a lot of money and really rebuilding a lot of things and creating this structure where it doesn't break as it scales. And don't get me wrong. I mean, from the staff, everybody on staff, all the agents too, everybody's putting in their time right now. Yeah. Everybody's working. But I've always joked and said like, no, we're the Trojan horse. Like we already won. We just haven't, you just don't know. Nobody knows. Like the data hasn't caught up yet. And that's really what you're seeing right now, where twice over the past weekend, just from the noise that we're making around things coming together, people are now messaging me with teams versus me knowing you and starting to have this conversation. Like, I got this idea. I think and you and I actually toyed with it for a while prior to that. We spoke about it. And I remember calling you when I had John and Meyer, and I said, I'm ready. Let's go. Well, I told you this story. I think I told you on a phone call a week after I joined or something, because I was in a spot with my team like, all right, what am I doing? Yeah. I'm questioning everything. And like you said, you could be good at 2 out of 3 of those things, but not 3. And I'm not getting to the levels that I want. I put a year in, and now my production's suffering because I'm devoting time elsewhere. Like, where do I go? Like, what's the next move? Yep. And then you called. Yep. And I first got off that call. I'm like, nah, there's no way. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I've been asking for the answer. Yeah. This could be it. Yeah. I mean, it took us 45 minutes to make the deal. And I think I answered you that day or the next day, like, all right, man, let's go. Yeah. Let's roll. I met
we had
you
to do your cap reset too. So we did.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. The time made it financial sense that way as well. But even without that, it was like, all right, let's, I don't think it would have been much longer if that pressure didn't get added to it. Yeah. But the vision that you've built here is something that a producer can relate to and want to tie into, because the processes are nothing but fuel
Yeah.
for a producer
Yeah.
or a team to join. And once you see that, it's hard to unsee, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. So like if I'm speaking to a team leader right now, let's say you have 10 people on your team or whatever it may be. One of my favorite conversations is, if you were to join us, who should be here tomorrow? Who should you fire? Who should not be on your team right now? And whether you join us or not, go fire those people right now. They shouldn't be around you. They're slowing you down, or you're slowing them down. It's not working. And they could be producing agents that just culturally don't even align with what it is you're looking to do. And I think that's something that people really, do a bad job of. They have energy vampires around them a lot of times too, and it kind of slows them up.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate how important that is.
Yeah.
And it exists everywhere through our organization.
Yep.
But who you're around every day, if they're sucking your energy or if they're negative and toxic, it's bad.
Yeah. And then my second favorite conversation with them is, all right, let's look at your team leader volume. Let's look at what you're doing as a team leader. And then let's look at the expenses that you need as a team leader to continue to do that. And then let's look at what you invest in those agents, those 10 agents, to get them to produce from a time standpoint, from a financial standpoint, leads, all, transaction management, all of that stuff. And let's figure out, just breaking that out. Like if you stepped out of production today, would you make money or would you lose money? And everybody loses money in that scenario. It's a lot of the smaller teams, it's the team leader that's really anchoring the whole thing. And then they're actually spending a lot of money on these other buckets to appease agents that aren't producing anyway.
100%.
So our model is more like, well, let's get the team leader on. Let's get them in a split that makes sense for both sides of this based on their production levels and all that stuff. Let's take over the expenses that we need to take over for them to continue to do that. Let's have them fold into our systems. And then let's go recruit the people that should be on their team, because we can go get the $20 million producer. We can get the $80 million producer. We can get a $2 million producer. Like, that's easy. Whereas a lot of team leaders are like, why would a $6 million producer join my team? I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, you're look at what you have.
Right.
And then where we're really good is our agents don't leave either. So like, there's no atrophy on that side of things. And that's where this whole thing can really, like, if we're talking to a team that has 10 folks and, they want to connect with you after this or whatever, it's like, great. How do we bring you in? How do we get you more profitable on your own business? And then how do we actually start to get you to profit on the folks around you too? And that's the idea. That's the concept of Align. It's how is and there's training going on right now and orientation, like everything. How does everything run so you can be in your highest and best highest and best activity for your production? And that's like rocket fuel. I mean, that's when it's
exactly right. You get I got all my time back.
Yeah.
The coaching, the process, the systems, that's all out of the way. No one's calling me with questions. Well, they are, but not my team there.
Right.
It's taken away from my time.
Right.
Right. And I'm happy to do it now. It's not a stress now. It's exciting now. And I also think what you were talking about when you sit down with a team leader and you go through the numbers, they got it all wrong.
Yeah.
There's way less profit than people actually think there is. You could lie to yourself. You can look at it this way, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive to operate like this.
Yeah.
And a team leader, when their production suffers because of their time going elsewhere, really messes you up.
Yeah.
I
tell people, it's funny. We talk about our goal is to have 300 people earning 6 figures and up in the organization and 30 folks earning 7 figures and up, netting 7 figures up. In our model, I know a team leader can, with showing assistants and everything like that, production partners, I know a team leader can net $1 million a hell of a lot quicker with us than they can go net $1 million out on their own.
Absolutely.
Because to be out of production and net $1 million, you really need to be, a $350 million, $400 million sales organization. Like it has to be big. It has to be really grooving. Or you're on these splits that don't make sense for a lot of the agents, and then they're leaving. There's a lot of atrophy there too. My whole vision with this, and I think we're cut from a similar cloth with like the way we believe things is I wanted to grow this around what's best for the team leader, what's best for the agent, what actually makes this whole thing thrive, versus saying like, let's put a 5% royalty across the board, and that's right into my pocket at the end of it. It's like, no, let's figure it, like, let's go through this, and if it's not working, we need to adjust. It is what it is. But
that's the old fashioned way.
Yeah.
Taking that 5% and just letting people go. And that, I think that has an expiration date on it. I don't know what that's going to be, but this definitely has an expiration date on it.
Yeah.
But what you took is, what EXP says, agent success obsessed. You give I think your goal, your primary goal, which is incredible, is what can we do for the agents
Yeah.
to make them better?
Yep.
Whatever that is, personal development, professional development, sales development, all these different things. And that's proving out,
Right.
you know, which is exciting because that's where the organization needs to be. And, you know, as far as people saying, why don't you start a brokerage? Why would you be a brokerage?
Yeah.
We have in the background EXP, but we operate, I think, at a higher level than that.
Yeah.
You know, being at four other brokerages, this is just, it's completely different here.
Yeah. No, we're having a lot of fun, man. We love having you as a part of our family. We
Oh,
love
it's great.
having you aligned.
Yeah.
And, you know, what Diane Kokoska, she's one of the head of MAPS coaching.
Yeah.
We're there at KW. She always said, and this stuck with me, is that racehorses are racehorses and donkeys are donkeys. A racehorse will never be a donkey, and a donkey will never be a racehorse. And I'm like, that is so true.
It's true.
And I find that, like, you know, if you want to get into our world, if you feel like you're a racehorse, you want to be around other racehorses, let's rock and roll. You know,
100%.
reach out to Chris. We'll take it from there. But if you want to be a donkey, keep being a donkey.
Stay a donkey, man.
Stay
away.
Get away from us.
Yes.
So I appreciate you coming
Awesome,
on,
man. No,
Thank
it's
you
my
so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks for having me, Brett.
All right.
Thanks, guys.